Guys, welcome back here to Advanced Bass Fishing. Appreciate you guys coming by the channel to check out today's episode. And guys, today I'm going to share with you one of my favorite wintertime bass fishing techniques. I'm going to go over the bait, going to go over where you want to fish it, everything about it. I catch a bunch of fish in the wintertime on it, which is this Mega Bass Dark Sleeper. We've talked about this before on the channel, but the Dark Sleeper is good 12 months out of the year. But there's different ways to fish it based upon the time of year you're fishing. And I want to talk about specifically the winter time to fish the Dark Sleeper here. So we're going to get into that in today's episode. Also, guys, speaking of winter, guys, we have my Fish the Moment winter lake map breakdowns up on the fishthemoment.com website right now. These are maps that I built specifically for fishthemoment.com. They're great ways to get some good fishing places for this winter. We got them all year long, but we have the winter maps now. Gives you GPS waypoints. You can put straight into your GPS unit. You can go right to those spots that I put on the map, and I tell you fishing tips and advice on how to fish each spot, and you can duplicate yourself around the lake in some similar areas. So I'll have all that link in the description of this video here. And real quick, guys, anybody interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, just go to my Facebook page, Randy Blaukat Professional Angler, shoot me a message for details, so appreciate that. Okay, guys, a lot of y'all that have been on with me with the channel for a while, you've heard me talk about the Mega Bass Dark Sleeper here. This is a fish catching freaking bait. It looks like a swim bait, but it's not a swim bait. If you're not familiar with it, let me show you a little bit about it. It's got a flat piece of lead on the bottom of it. So it's weighted and it sits on the bottom like this. And even though it's got the paddle tail like a swim bait, it's designed to be fished on the bottom like a jig or something like that, the way it's inherently designed. And I will put this, I'll put these in my Tackle Warehouse link in the description, guys, if you guys would like to order a couple of them here after the video. But that's the way that it is. And then you got this nice stiff, about a 2/0 hook buried in the dorsal fin here. It's completely hidden out of view, which is really nice because it makes it, you can't even tell there's a hook in there. Looks just like a little sculpin, just looks like a little minnow. Deadly, deadly bait. I've been ripping this fish on this thing for over 5 years now. Okay, let's talk specifically about how you want to fish it in the wintertime in between like December and February and how to set it up and everything. And first of all, there's 3 different sizes, guys. This is the 3-inch model right here, which is probably my favorite. But they also make a 3.5-inch model and a 4.5-inch model and a 2.4-inch model. So I use the 3-inch model probably 75% of the time for winter fishing, and then that little 2.4-inch model, I use it about the other 25%. Okay, so here's what you want to look for. First of all, you got to have, like any other lure category, you got to have the right set of conditions for it, and you got to have the right lake conditions. So this is a clear water technique in the wintertime. This is not designed for any type of a stained water environment. So you really need to have water visibility of at least 3 foot. About 3 foot clarity is going to be about minimum for it. Ideally, I like to have 4 to 6 foot clarity. So clear water situation is going to be really good for it. The next thing to remember with the Dark Sleeper is it works really good on lakes that have multiple bass species in it. So a lake that has some level of a mix of largemouth, spotted bass, and smallmouth, it works really good. It catches all 3 species, but it seems like to me that the lakes that have clear water with a little bit of a mixed species, maybe not smallmouth, just some mix of spotted bass and largemouth can be really good with that. That's one thing with it. Next thing with it is you got to have the right water temperature in correlation with the water visibility for the technique that we're going to describe about here. And the right water temperature, anytime when the water's in the 40s or 50s, it's going to work. So clear water's in the 40s or 50s, and some type of a mixed species lake. A perfect type of a lake would be something like our Ozark lakes here where I live at, or like Lake Cumberland in Kentucky, or Lake Lanier in Georgia, or Lake Norman in North Carolina, Lake Martin in Alabama. All those type of lakes would be just absolutely perfect for this. Okay, one of the things that you got to remember about it is since you're working this bait on the bottom, you got to fish those type of areas where you can fish the bottom. And there's 2 different type of structures that I fish the Dark Sleeper in, are steep rocky banks, channel banks, points, that type of, channel banks, bluffy banks, riprap banks, that type of stuff, any type of steep rock, or long flat points. Those are going to be the 2 favorite techniques for them, or the favorite type of areas. Points are going to be really good, especially if you have smallmouth or spotted bass in the lake. If you're fishing a lake, again, like Lake Hartwell in South Carolina that has a bunch of spots on it, like getting out there off those long, flat clay and gravel points is going to be a really good way to catch them. Other type of lakes, which is probably my favorite way to fish it in the wintertime, is casting this thing up to a steep rocky bank and just working it exactly like you would a finesse jig or something. Just throw it up there and just pump it off the bottom like that. Just sort of shake it off the bottom where you're gradually just sort of, bouncing it down the drop like that. The points is a little bit different. When I'm fishing the points, I usually like to pop it a little bit where it comes up and then starts going down like that. But when I'm working it around those drops, I'm just trying to make it fall down the drop exactly like you'd be fishing a jig. And the bite is going to be just like a jig bite. It's like when I'm fishing a dark sleeper in the wintertime, most of the time, you probably couldn't tell the difference as if I was fishing a finesse jig. I'm going to be holding my rod tip about the same. I'm going to be hopping it about the same. No difference whatsoever. I'm just pretending that this thing is a jig, even though it's a minnow type, resembling type of lure. So that's the first thing with it. You can't go wrong with bluffs, guys. Bluffs are one of the top wintertime structures that you can possibly fish with a dark sleeper. Probably looking at most of the bass that I've caught on a dark sleeper in the wintertime, probably over half of them has been on bluff banks. Now, this isn't the case in other times of the year, because if you guys have heard me talk about this in other times of the year, everything's point oriented. It's all about points in the summertime and the post spawn. And since bass live on points all year long, you can still catch them on that, but you really need to focus on those steeper banks. Another good area for it is like a steep riprap bank. If you've got a riprap bank that drops off pretty steep into deeper water, this is going to be a really good bait for it. Or even if you have a lake that doesn't have a lot of big rock and bluff on it, but you have a place where the creek channel swings close into the bank, where it could be like just a 45-degree angle bank or a gravelly bank that's close to deep water, something like that can be really good with it. Now, the bite on the thing, guys, is going to be exactly the same as a jig bite. In the summertime, you guys have heard me talk, I hop it off super high off the bottom, like 3 or 4 feet. But since in the wintertime, I'm just barely hopping it off the bottom, it's just going to feel like it gets heavy, like it's mushy a little bit, and then you want to set the hook on it. Also, guys, it's important on the hook there, make sure that you open up that point, that gap on the hook. Take a pair of needle nose and straighten that hook up about 1/16 of an inch. It's going to help you get a lot more hookups with it. Now, in the wintertime, there's 2 different type of setups I fish it on. If I'm fishing the 2.4-inch model, which is the little one, I'll use spinning rods, 6-pound test, Seagarn Vizx fluorocarbon. And then if I'm using a bait caster, I'm using like a 7-foot, usually some type of a medium heavy action with 10-pound test. On the 3-inch model, I have found out that 10-pound test is by far the best. So 10-pound test, Seagarn Vizx on the 3-inch, 6-pound test on the little 2.4-inch model. But guys, this will get you a limit, man. This is a really good bait for the wintertime when the fishing's tough. This is going to be a good bait on those winter days out there where like it's really cold and maybe there's not much wind and the sun's really bright and fishing's tough overall. This will get you some bites with it. It's just super, super fun bait. It's probably one of the most underrated baits that there is. So again, guys, Megabass Dark Sleeper, link in my Tackle Warehouse, link in the description here. A lot of different good colors, guys. They're all really good. I mean, there's not really one that's my favorite over the others. They're just, a lot of it just has to do with how clear your water is. They have crawdad patterns and they have shad patterns, so it's best to get a few of both. So anyway, guys, hope it helps you catch some good ones, and we'll talk later.